O Lord, our rock and our redeemer, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, one true God, forever. Amen. Morning.
Morning.
How's everyone? Awake?
Getting there.
Okay, so this session, as you know, is good session. Women. Role of women in the church. My name is Ceena, Mary. My home parish is St. Thomas, Baltimore, and I graduated from St. Latimer Seminary. Now I teach part-time in the seminary. I also work for the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America, the Youth and Young Adult Ministries, as the resource coordinator. I'm also involved with World Vision. I write curriculum for them. And by God's grace, I've been doing just little things in our church that God has put responsibilities on me, so I'm trying to do what I can. So I gave that intro to say, just to say, because I'm a woman, and the session is on the role of women in the church, so I just wanted to let you know what I am doing right now. So I'm so glad that you're all here. Welcome, thank you for here. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to ask you to write something. What is a woman? You should all have note cards, but here is. What is a woman? What are some characteristics of a woman? What would you say? How would you define a woman? Any particular characteristics? Whatever comes to your mind, just to get you warmed up. Can we share our thoughts, volunteers? What comes to your mind when you hear the word woman?
For me, mostly a motherly figure, so that maternal instinct.
Okay. Motherly figure, okay. Plus.
Teacher.
Teacher, okay. Very good. What else?
Softer side of a man, more emotional, loving, caring.
Emotional, loving, caring, okay. Very good.
Also more manipulative.
More
And moody.
It's okay. I see a majority of women in here, so I thought it would be interesting to have, more to hear both sides, but we have more women, so. Anything else to add? Okay, I want to show you a video. This is actually, I give credit to our Northeast Young Women's Conference, which happened last month. This was a promo video for the conference. So I just want to show you that so that you can just get your thoughts together on this topic. thoughts on what you saw? Anything that struck you? Any phrases? Are you still absorbing the video? Because you are his. I see this side is all women, so I can sit to this side. We're truly Orthodox when I go Orthodox. And then we have one woman seat. So, I mean, these are some of the characteristics of who women are. Okay? So we need to understand what a woman is to even understand what can she do, what role can she play in the church. Okay? So keep that in mind. And now I'm going to ask you to think about women that you know from the Bible or in church history. So give me some random names. Women in the Bible or early church history. Esther, okay. Ruth.
Anna.
Anna.
Mary.
Mary.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, okay. Miriam.
Sarah.
Sarah.
Abigail.
Abigail. All right. Okay. So now let's do something. I have a few icons or images in the next few slides. Let's see if we can identify them. Okay. Just to see who are the women that are present throughout history, especially in the Bible. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can do this. Who are these? Should we lower the lights a little bit?
Is that Mary?
Okay. What do you see? What is this? The tomb. Okay. So these are. There's a name for them, the mare-bearing women, but these are basically the women who came to the tomb, right? Okay. All right. Let's.
What did you call them?
Myrrh, like myrrh, like the myrrh.
Oh,
So the myrrh-bearing women.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. That's a name given to them. I think the rest of the ones will be a little easier. So let's see if we can identify. Who is this? Yes. The woman at the well. The Samaritan woman at the well, right? We read in St. John's Gospel. Okay. Who's this? But we see an icon. You look for details here and there and see what.
One watches this week.
Not quite. Looks similar to that. There are two women here. One is at the feet of Jesus, and the other is doing it. Martha. Very good. Who is this? This would be the woman who was being stoned, and then Jesus came and wrote in the sand. Okay, the one who is without sin, let him stone him first. That. All right. Your second chance.
Murray.
The murder. Say Mary, the Theotokos. Again, look. What's this? The tomb. Okay. So, what would this be? This side and all sides. Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene. She was the first one who came who saw Christ after the resurrection. Okay. There is a woman there. End. Okay. I need a little help from that side. What does it say? Can you see? Okay, the Holy Cross. Okay, this is they've been remembering the finding of the cross of Christ. Do you know who found it? Who is credited? King Constantine and his mother, St. Helen. And so, king and the queen. Okay. Well, this one's St. Helen with the cross. Who could this be? There is a woman in there. I'll give you a hint. You mentioned her name earlier today. Sarah. It's the three holy men coming, which we say it's the Holy Trinity, representing the Holy Trinity, and Abraham and Sarah there. Obvious. Okay, who is in here? The icon obviously is the
Adam and Eve.
the resurrection, Adam and Eve. Okay, so Eve right there. What's this? Yes, the woman who washed it and brought the alabaster jar. Okay, it's actually a repetition. It's an icon, actually. Who is this? Samaritan woman. Who is usually we think that's Saint Fortini. Okay, Saint Fortini. Might not recognize. This is Saint Mary of Egypt. Okay. I'll go between these two to see if we can gather who this is. Ruth. Naomi. Okay. Pretty good. What about this? It's two women embracing. Saint Mary and Elizabeth. Okay. Pretty good. Saint Phoebe. Okay. All right. So these are some women that that we have seen through history or in the Bible or in early church history. Okay, so I want to go back a little bit just to the beginning of the creation of woman. So looking at who we are in the sight of God. Okay, so when we look at Genesis, in Genesis 1:27, we see God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So there, when we are created in the image of God, already we are there, male and female, we are created. Keep in mind there are two creation accounts. So that's why we go to the second one, there we see man is being created and later the woman is created, right? Can someone read Genesis 2, 18 to 22?
Then the Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him." So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon him, and while he slept, took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman and brought her to the man.
Okay, so here we see the woman being created as a partner to complete man. That again, a woman is in the creation plan of God. She's there from the very beginning. Okay, keep that in mind as we go forward in church history. So now, if we look at how women are in the sight of Christ, we see a change. In the Old Testament, we see there's a little, there isn't much, like especially with the Jewish laws, there has not been a lot compared to the New Testament. There's a slight variation, but in Christ, St. Paul says, there is no male or female. There's a complete transformation that in Christ, there is no male or female. There is no Jew or Greek, there's no slave or free. So we are all one in Christ. So keep that in mind. There is no difference in the sight of God. From the very beginning, but societal circumstances probably have made things a little different, but in Christ, again, St. Paul affirms that there is neither male nor female in Christ. And moreover, in 1 Peter we read, "You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation." This is also what we see in Hebrews. Also, we all, clergy and laity together, male and female, together, both are a royal priesthood. Okay? So all are priests in the sight of God. Okay? So we all have a responsibility as a priest. Okay? We'll go into ordination and priesthood and diaconate a little later. Okay? So now we'll do a little bit of history just to before we get to what roles can we play today. Okay? We see all these women who have been part of God's economy of salvation. But now we are here. We are present. We are the present in the history right now. And God has a purpose for you, each one of you. As you saw in the video, you're unique, you're beautiful, you're chosen, and you have a responsibility to be His priest wherever we are. So let's try to identify what roles we can play. But before that, let's look into women's ordination. Are women ordained in the Orthodox Church? Of course not. And why is this? The Orthodox Church follows the practices of the Old Testament as well, following the tradition. But we follow the practice of the apostles, the teachings in the Bible, and the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Okay? So now I'm going to ask you, why do you think women should not be ordained? Can you write down your response? Or why do we, as the Orthodox Church, do not ordain women? Any thoughts? Share.
Is it because Jesus and the apostles were all men?
Okay, Jesus and the apostles are all men. Okay, very good. What else? There's no other explanation either. All right. There have been many thoughts on this. Like people have written books on this. I've brought some books. The Ordination of Women in the Orthodox Church. Women and the Priesthood by Father Thomas Hopko. This is also Elizabeth Bear Siegel and Bishop Callistos Ware. And there is another book, The Ministry of the Women in the Church. So, there are a lot of books out there. But, there are certain things that are pointed out, and I just put a few thoughts here. Like you mentioned, Jesus chose 12 male disciples, and even further, He sent 72 out. They were all men, as far as we know. And then tradition. It's been the tradition for over 2,000 years. Okay. And also, like you said, Christ was a male, and a priest is an iconic representation of Christ, the Son of God. And also, like I said earlier, the Old Testament practice was to have males as priests and rabbis for the synagogue. So we continue that tradition, the church today. So in these days when we have a lot of feminist movements and women wanting to speak up for themselves, and so do we really need to change these traditions? Do we need to change the practice of the church, beginning with Christ? That's something we need to think about. Again, that does not mean you are any less. Okay? That does not mean that a woman is inferior to men. It just means that God has given different roles to women and men. Okay? So the question should not be, can women be priests? The question should be, what gifts are we given, and how can we use those gifts in the ministry of the church? How can God use me where I am? with my talents, with my role in the society, in the family, in my workplace, or wherever I am. Okay? So it just should not be about, can women be priests? I mean, we don't even need to answer that question. Of course, we might be capable to do that, right? Women might be capable to do the role, but that's not the role given to us, okay? To women. When I say, not ignoring the men in the room, but we have very few men, so yes.
I don't mean to put you on the spot,
Yes.
but, and I'm not saying we should need to change anything, but you, for example, you've obviously chosen to go to seminary for some reason. You felt some kind of calling, you felt some need to know God more. So does it bother you at all that this limitation applies to you, whereas all of your fellow seminarians could become a priest if they want to?
Not really. No. I mean, I knew that before I came to seminary. I chose to go to seminary with wanting to know Christ more. And if God wants me to use me to bring others to Christ, I wanted to be available. And I didn't know where I was going. I just had the wish to experience that seminary life, the discipline, prayer life, and I think I needed that. God gives that opportunity, but I don't feel like I need to get ordained. And God has been using me in the church, which I identify not because of my merits, but by His grace. He's put me, has taken me out of my comfort zone and put me in roles that I should do. And I know that this is, of course, the role that God has given me. And even my thesis was actually jokes to me. I should start teaching rubrics. Rubrics is how to do each service. So my thesis is based on how each service should be done. So I do that too, but even then I'm not doing it. But I learned, how to do it. I translated work from Malayalam to English. So I can see what's happening, what should be done next, I understand it. But even then I don't feel like I should be up there. I don't feel left out. I know for sure that this is where God wanted me to be. So, of course I see my brothers getting ordained, but no worries about that. So of course I'm happy where I am. So thank you. Thank you for the question. Okay, so like I said, we are given different roles in the church. And I put just jokingly, women are given the responsibility to bear children. Does that mean should men start complaining about it? It's not their role. It's not their role. So, God is not discriminating against men. Of course, God knows that women have the strength to do it. So it's men have to just accept that only women can give birth.
Wasn't painful childbirth a punishment?
Well, if we talk about that, we're going to go back to the garden and say that it is all our responsibility. So it's not go there. It's clear that God has given different roles, and even if we look at different women have different roles. Some of you are teachers, doctors, nurses, pharmacists. I can't do that job. Everyone has a different role. So even within men or within women, each one has a different talent, either male or female. So God has a different role given to each one of us. So it's our responsibility to identify what that is, what our gift is, what our skills are, and use it for the glory of God, use it for the benefit of the church. And through our works, by His grace, bring glory to Him. So identifying what our role is perhaps the hard part, but I trust that God will give that discernment. And as most of you have figured out your careers or are thinking about it, so it's not an easy thing, as you know, but God will lead. So again, going back, you are not inferior. Women are not inferior because God did not choose you to be ordained. Even men. Just being a man doesn't mean you can be ordained, right? Achin was ordained because he was chosen. Tirumeni was ordained and consecrated as a bishop because that was his calling. So everyone has a different role and in the plan of God. So we have to identify that, male or female. Okay? We good? All right, now I want to support that statement that, that we are not inferior to men by using this one example for the Theotokos. Saint Mary. She has the highest place in the church. In heaven even, she's second in rank after God himself. She's second in rank. Do you know who is known as the greatest among men? Who is born greatest among who was born from men? Christ himself said, there is no one greater than this person who was born from men. The New Testament, of course.
It's his wife.
Well, even then. John the Baptist, right? John the Baptist was known as the greatest among men, but even he is less in rank than the Theotokos. Think about it. This is a woman, very young woman, when she was chosen to be the Mother of God. She was called to carry God, whom even the heavens and the whole universe cannot contain. And she carries God himself. And with the same pains of childbirth, gives birth to the Son of God. And because of that, because of her humility, she was chosen. And because of her humility and what she was able to do, God exalted her. God exalted her to be the most revered saint in the church. So we give much importance to the Theotokos. So looking at her, we see, we are capable of achieving greatness, achieving holiness. But even then, she was not ordained. Right? She was not even a deacon, as far as we know, deaconess. So again, but do we think of her any less? No, of course we revere her the most. So she can be the model to see what a woman can achieve. Of course, we are never going to be like her. We are not going to be the Mother of God. But I would say each one of us, men and women alike, are called to be Theotokos. Don't think that's a heretical statement. I'll explain. Each one of us are called to be Theotokos. What does the term Theotokos mean? God bearer. Bear Christ and bring Christ into the world. That's what we are called to do. Through baptism we enter the church, and we are called to bring Christ to wherever we are. Bring him into this world that is so in need of his love. Right? So each one of us are called to be Theotokos. Perhaps not with a capital T, but with a small t. Right? Each one of us are called to be Theotokos. So that should be our goal, to be Theotokos wherever we are, whether that be at home or work or in church or just walking down the street, to bring Christ into the world. I put a hymn, both of St. Jacob, that we are familiar with. If we can just sing that in Malayalam first, at least, we'll understand. Maybe not the Malayalam, but I think English too. So, of how the church exalts Saint Mary. This is familiar to you. Can someone translate that? Understand it? Okay, I'll give them English. So, put two stanzas there. In whom shall I dwell but in the meek and humble? He dwelt in her who was the most humble of all. For no one was ever so humble as Mary, and none was ever so exalted as she was. Explains it, right? and because of that, we give the most respect to her. And again, that shows that women can achieve greatness, can achieve holiness, even if that's not physically giving birth to Christ. We are called to bring Christ into this world. Okay, so now moving on to another part the women had played in history. Women apostles. Do you know what the term apostle means? One who is sent. Apostolos in Greek means the one who is sent. So anyone who is sent to preach the gospel is an apostle. Okay? So it's interesting that the very first apostle after the resurrection is a woman. Now, you know who that is. We talked about her. Mary Magdalene, right? Saint Mary Magdalene. She was the one who got the first appearance from Christ after the resurrection. And she was told to go and proclaim the gospel, the resurrection of Christ to the apostles. So she is known as the apostle to the apostles. And also Saint Fotini, that we talked about earlier, the woman at the well. The scripture says that right after, she had that encounter, after Christ revealed himself, identified himself with her, she went out to the city and talked to the men there. And many Samaritans from that city believed in him because of her witness. So again, we see another apostle, Saint Fotini. And we know that there are many women who assisted Christ throughout his ministry. Okay, so again, going back to your role, as we go through this, think about where you are in the plan of God, what role you can play. Again, I would say you are called to be apostle. You are called to be apostle because you also are called to go preach the gospel, right? So that's another role you can play. Now, we have to touch this. Women's diaconate. There were deaconesses in the early church. You saw one of her in the slides earlier, Saint Phoebe, who was the deaconess that we see in the Acts of Apostles. So she worked with Saint Paul, and her name is mentioned there. And also there are several other female deaconesses who became saints. Example, the sister of Saint Gregory and Saint Basil, Saint Macrina. There are a few others who were deaconesses. So in the early church, there were a lot of women deaconesses. In the 3rd and 4th centuries especially. Why do you think that was? Any ideas? What was happening at that time? Why were there more women deaconesses? All right, no ideas? Okay, that was the time when there was a lot of conversion, a lot of converts coming into the faith, accepting Christ, and being baptized. Okay, so what happens in baptism? Well, you have to help. The deaconesses assisted the priest in baptism by taking the older women, not the young babies. They're all grown-up women, would accept the faith, and they had the function of undressing the women and doing the actual submerging them in the water, and then bringing them to the priest clothed in white. Okay, so then there was a function for the deaconesses at that time, but eventually, it went on for a while, but then there were less and less conversions, less and less adult baptisms, so the female diaconate really didn't have a function that much anymore, so eventually it kind of died out. Okay, but keep in mind that this order of deaconesses was never abolished formally, so there's nothing canonically that is stopping us from bringing it back. Okay, it was just that it lost its function. Many of the things that we do in the church, it's functional. And then we develop a meaning to it, we attach a meaning to it, especially examples during Kurbana. We have lights, right? Why do you think the early church had lights? Candles, to read, right? Just so that, there's the gospel, the scripture was being read only in the church. That was the only place, and then you had to read it. So you need light, so you kept the light. But as time went on, we added meaning to it. Okay, Christ, the true light, He's there. Now we have 12 candles, the apostles. Another example, the fan, is the Madhubasas. You know what they were before? To keep the flies away. And now we have gold-plated, silver-plated with cherubims on it, the bells on it. So it all had a function, and it developed meaning, and it became part of our practice in the church. So like that also, female diaconate kind of like when it lost its function, it just kind of died out. And perhaps there are practices that were in the early church that we don't have it now because maybe it lost its function. So there are other things as well. So again, this was not formally abolished, so it's not uncanonical. But again, there are talks going on in several Orthodox churches about this. It's not just the Syrian church, that other churches don't have an active diaconate, but there are some churches that do have deaconesses, singers especially, some ronito roles, and perhaps the many can help us to identify there are churches that do ordain, like I think Armenian church or Coptic church. I think the Coptic church does have the order. As far as I've heard, and I don't think there are any in the U.S., I'm not sure, but there are some as teachers in Egypt, So it hasn't completely died out, but it's not really an active order in the church. The Syrian church or also perhaps do have, Tirumani, you have any?
They have in Syria, I know there are nuns who are deaconesses.
Okay, nuns were.
And in America they have sombronitos.
Sombronitos, singers. So.
And even the Indian church till about mid-20th century we had deaconesses. Specifically presbyteros assigned for the anointing.
Okay.
But they were kochamas.
Kochamas, okay. All right. Okay, so it's been there in history. It's just not there now. So, all right. Let's move to the main part that I want to do today. Is how can women serve in the church today? And I'm not going to give you the answer. You have to come up with the answer. So, actually, let me just give you this sheets. I have notes on. Most of the notes that we covered is on it. But if you look at the back, I put the question, how can women serve in the church today? With bullet points so that you can fill it. So I identified some of the roles women can play in the church today. Write down at least 3 things, everyone, and then we will share, and we can hopefully have a conversation about this and see. You are women, today's women, so what do you think you can do in the church for our church today? How can we serve God? I'll give you a minute. not just women here, we do have men, we have a priest, we have a tirumeni, so it'll be great to hear comments from everyone, so that, we can figure this out. How can women, I shouldn't say we, because there are men in the room, but how can women serve in the church today, bringing glory to God? What are the specific talents and skills? Also keep in mind the characteristics that you brought up in the beginning, and also what we saw in the video. Okay? How can women serve the church today? Sunday school teacher? Okay. Do you want to talk about it a little bit before going on to the next? Or let's gather answers and then pick up some. Teacher, okay.
Church committee.
Church committee, okay.
Choir,
Choir,
spiritual organizations,
okay.
Other committees like fundraising and such.
Okay. Right.
Volunteering.
Volunteering.
Trustee.
That's big now, right? Okay, what else?
Youth advisor.
Youth advisor, okay. What else? You see, it's a long list. Yeah, we're not done, right?
Mentor.
Mentor, youth advisor, yeah. What else?
sometimes when Arjun allows like a lay person to give a sermon.
Okay, so just give a sermon. Anything else? Okay, this pretty much, I mean, we have the broad things covered. Can you share your experience in the church? When I say your women, your experience in the church as a woman, how have you been able to share? Or men, you know, how have you seen women serving in the church, in church that you have seen? Especially Triveni, you have seen a lot, and Acha too, you are familiar with different churches. So, you know, what do you see that women can do? And I would like to hear from the women, you know, where you are, what have you been able to do? Any thoughts? It's a small group, so let's openly talk, please. Can you identify with the ones that you listed? I am sure there are Sunday school teachers in here, singers in here, Kochumas in here. I don't know about trustees, but you know.
So what are you asking about? Like,
No, how have you been able to serve the church?
Oh yeah, as a Sunday school teacher, and I think it helped because kids were able to easily talk to you.
Okay. Especially the girls, perhaps. Okay.
I was a committee member for Holy Cross Church in New York.
Yes. And there's a mission parish in New York City. She was in the company. Anyone else? So, what do you think? Is there anything that we should change in the church that you would like to do in the church? Do you think you have skills that you're not able to bring it forward? We have a bit here. You're today's women, speak up.
I don't think anybody is as radical as me.
I don't think it's a lack of the ability to do it. I think there's still a generational difference between our parents' generation and what talents they have versus what they're willing or feel like they are able to do. I think our story will be a little bit different. I think most of us were probably most active in your traditional MGCSM or Sunday school roles because there was never an issue of whether we could serve or not in those realms. And now that the administration of the church is a little bit more open to having women on committees and things like that, I think our generation will slowly take that up. I do feel bad sometimes that I think our parents' generation lost out a little bit, you know, in what they were able to do in terms of what, and I think we mix culture with our church all the time. You know, it's not the church saying this or that, it's just culturally accepted practice. So that will change given time, especially being here versus being overseas.
Okay, thank you. Good thoughts. There is that generation gap or, differences that, we're still in the transition issues. So today we face that, we might have communication gaps, generation gaps, cultural differences as well, like as you mentioned. So, but even then, we are able to somehow bridge it. Even with struggles, we are able to bridge that. Anything else? Any of you have churches with women committee members, trustees?
I just moved actually to Dallas from Denver, and they have like a secretary who's a woman.
Okay.
And it's such a small parish that women and men work together, and they all they kind of share roles because it's probably 25, 30 people. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So women are being more active, and with the constitutional changes, women are able to even be in committees and be more active. Tirumani actually led a session on women's role leadership last Saturday at the New York Aramana, talking to the Montgomery Samajam about these constitutional changes and how the women could serve the church. So I mean, of course, it's nothing uncanonical about it. And again, keeping in mind there are roles that we should know at the border, we should know the line. That's all. But you're called and you can serve the church. Anything else? I have a list of things that I just put down randomly. I mean, cover some of the things that you said. Of course, you can teach, sing. There are great women singers. You can raise money for the poor, help the needy. Like you said, church committees or councils, become nuns and serve. There are a lot of it's active. So we have. Do you have a number for how many nuns, mothers we have in the church? My understanding is about 200. Not in the U.S., but back home.
We don't have any in U.S. We don't have any in U.S.
Yeah, we don't have any in the
that
U.S.
number, I'm sure.
Yes. But I knew of one who was in Chicago visiting from India. I mean, for a while, I think she was in the parish. I met her a couple of times there. But that's one place where you can serve when you want to put all your concentration as to Christ and serve the church in that way. Something that we didn't mention, bear and raise God-fearing children. I mentioned that capability earlier, but this is a very, very important one. A mother's role is very important. To raise tomorrow's citizens, male or female, men or women. It's a mother who has that capability, and there are mothers in this room, right? Yes. So that is a big responsibility, a big role you can play if you raise good God-fearing children for tomorrow. Teach them the faith, teach them again by showing them what it is to be Christ-like. Mothers especially know what the love of Christ is because you show that, the self-sacrificing love, unconditional love. If you don't sleep, you'll still take care of your child. If the child wakes up in the middle of the night, you might be tired. You might be dead tired, but still you will care for your child. That is self-sacrificing, Christ-like love. So a mother's role cannot be undermined, and it's very important. That's actually also serving the church. Because we need to raise good citizens of the church, and that a mother can help a lot in that. Visiting the sick, to give comfort. Like somebody mentioned earlier, that more emotional and more sensitive, and that attachment, you're able to give that. Some men are able to do that. I'm not saying men cannot do it. Maybe not all women are liking that area either, but again, everyone's different. But that's, again, something that we can do. Organizing events, for example, I think, women are a little bit more detail-oriented, perhaps, maybe a little too much detail-oriented. But, like organizing an event, a church event, it's something you can do. And above all, I would say your role is to pray. It's to pray for yourself, pray for your husband, your brother, your father, your mother, pray for the church. Your role is to pray. And as that, you are a priest. You are a priest, you are the mediator between God and man, God and humankind. I'm not saying men when I say men, humankind. You are a priest. Please, the men in the room, please don't feel left out. And I say you because I see a lot of women on this stuff. Women and men alike, clergy or non-clergy, you are called to be priest, to be a mediator, to reconcile the whole of creation and bring glory to God. So women especially, pray. If you think there's nothing else you can do, pray. Pray for the church. You want to serve the church? Pray for the church. If you haven't done so yet, try making a prayer list. Okay? Maybe at least once a day say a prayer for the church. If you can, add the Catholicos, your metropolitan, your priest. Those come to your mind, those spiritual fathers that come to your mind. Those people, for peace in our churches, very important. Pray for peace in our churches. We have churches that struggle, but instead of trying to solve it the human way, if we can pray about it and ask God to reconcile, and and also do our part in reconciling as a result of prayer. That would be the great role you can play in the church. So I would end by saying, how can a woman serve in the church? A woman can serve in the church by being Christ-like, being giving self-sacrificial love, self-emptying love, unconditional love to others, and for the church, and identifying how you can be Christ to the world, to the society, the particular societies, to the particular families, the jobs that God has placed you in. And your calling, using the example of the most exalted Mother Mary, I would say your call is to be Theotokos, to bring Christ, to bear Christ and bring him into the world. Okay, I will end there with an icon of the Most Holy Theotokos. Any thoughts, comments, or questions? Interestingly enough, this was not my area of expertise, but from my experience of working in the church for the past 4 or 5 years, I can share my thoughts. So if you have any questions, if you want to talk about anything, please feel free to come and talk to me. There are some books that are listed as the resource book. Also, if you want to take a look at any of these books that I taught here, The Ministry of the Women in the Church, The Ordination of Women in the Orthodox Church, Women and Priesthood, Women and Men in the Church. So, feel free to look at that too. And if you need to order any books, there's some books from St. Vladimir Seminary. If you want to get in touch, I can give you the website, or if you want to just purchase it directly, let me know. I can help you with that. Any questions? Or comments, thoughts?
Saint Mary of Egypt, what was she known for?
Saint Mary of Egypt. She lived as a prostitute for so many years, until she was 29. Then she converted and dedicated her life to Christ completely. I'm actually getting to learn a little bit more and more these days about her, and it's amazing. And it's she went retrieved into the desert, and she knew the time of her death. Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong. Then she said, bring me communion to a priest. I think priest Zosimus asked him to give me communion, and she received the communion. And Zosimus saw her walking on water. That's something Christ did. So her faith was so great after her conversion, and she's a very revered saint that we don't know much about her just because we are not exposed to her. But please Google it, check it out, Saint Mary of Egypt. You can learn a lot about her. And this icon is one that's most common. Yeah, Saint Mary of Egypt. At the age of 29, she converted and completely gave her life to Christ. Any other questions? Thank you. We good?
It's a silent group.
St. Paul said women be silent. Be obedient women. Thank you all.
Thank you.